Monday morning, 2 weeks after Reina's departure. Hana arrived at work feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She and Ayame had spent the weekend apartment hunting, looking for a place that would be theirs. Not just Ayame's penthouse or Hana's tiny studio, but something they'd chosen together. She was smiling as she walked to her desk, coffee in hand, already mentally planning their evening. Then she saw Mai's face. "Hana," Mai said quietly, holding up her tablet, "you need to see this." The screen showed a business magazine cover, Tokyo Business Weekly in bold letters across the top. Below it, a photo of Ayame and Hana leaving the office together. The image had been taken from a distance, but it was clearly them. Ayame in her signature black suit, Hana in pastels, walking close but not touching. The headline, Sato Corporation CEO's Controversial Romance, Love or Liability? Hana's stomach dropped. "It gets worse," Mai said softly, scrolling down. The article was extensive, 3 pages, photos of them at company events, screenshots of the social media posts from months ago, quotes from anonymous sources within the company. The relationship raises questions about favoritism and professional judgment. Mori-san's rapid promotions have raised eyebrows among senior staff. Industry insiders question whether Sato-san's personal life is affecting her business decisions. The 10-year age gap and power imbalance present ethical concerns. Hana's vision blurred. Her hands trembled so badly she had to set down her coffee. "They interviewed board members," Mai said, her voice tight, "anonymously. Some of them are not supportive." Hana's phone buzzed. "Ayame, don't read it, please. I'm handling this." Too late. She kept scrolling, every fear she'd ever had about their relationship printed in black and white, every whisper made public, every doubt validated by sources close to the situation. The article's conclusion was damning. While Sato-san's personal life is her own business, shareholders and board members may question whether her judgment has been compromised by this controversial relationship. The question remains, is love worth the liability? Around her, the office had gone quiet. Everyone had seen it, everyone was reading it, everyone was looking at her. Hana stood abruptly, nearly knocking over her chair. She didn't know where she was going, just away. Away from the stares, away from the whispers, away from the printed proof that maybe everyone had been right all along. She made it to the bathroom before the panic attack hit. Ayame found her there 20 minutes later, sitting on the floor of a stall, hyperventilating. "Hana," Ayame's voice was gentle but firm, "breathe with me. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Slowly, painfully, Hana's breathing steadied. Ayame crouched in front of her, still in her perfect suit, uncaring that she was kneeling on a bathroom floor. "I tried to kill the story," Ayame said quietly, "as soon as I heard about it last week, but they have a right to publish, freedom of press. Everyone's reading it. I know. They're all thinking it, that I'm a liability, that I'm ruining your reputation, that I—" "Stop." Ayame's hands cupped her face. "None of that is true. It's in print, Ayame, in a major business magazine, with quotes from your board members. Anonymous quotes, from cowards who won't say it to my face. That doesn't make them wrong." Ayame's jaw tightened. "We're calling an emergency board meeting. I'm addressing this directly, and I'm going to make it very clear that my personal life is not up for corporate debate. That'll just make it worse, make it a bigger story. I don't care." Ayame's silver eyes blazed. "I'm not letting them do this to you, to us." Hana's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. "Hello? Hana Mori?" An unfamiliar woman's voice. "This is Keiko Tanaka from Tokyo Business Weekly. I'm doing a follow-up piece on the Sato Corporation story, and I'd love to get your perspective on—" Hana hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Different number. "Don't answer it," Ayame said, taking the phone. "They're going to swarm you. I'll have security—" Ayame's own phone rang. She glanced at the screen and went very still. "Who is it?" Hana asked. "My mother." Ayame stepped out of the bathroom to take the call. Hana followed, hovering near the doorway. "Mother," Ayame's voice was perfectly controlled. "I was going to call you." Through the phone, Hana could hear a woman's voice, sharp, cultured, angry. "Yes, I've seen it," Ayame said. "It's a gross invasion of privacy, but—" More angry words. "That's not fair. You haven't even met her." Ayame's expression grew tighter. "I understand you're upset, but—" The voice on the other end rose in volume. "I'm not discussing this over the phone," Ayame said firmly. "We can talk in person if you'd like, but—" A pause. Ayame's face went pale. "Sunday," she said finally. "Yes, fine, I'll be there." She hung up and stood very still for a long moment. "Ayame?" "My parents want to meet you." Hana's heart stopped. "That's good?" "They want us to come to dinner, Sunday evening." Ayame's voice was hollow. "It's not an invitation, it's a summons." "To talk about the article?" "To talk about us." "About—" Ayame's hands clenched into fists. "About ending it." The words hung in the air between them. "They want you to break up with me," Hana said quietly. "They want me to reconsider my choices before I do irreparable damage to the family name." Ayame's voice was bitter. My mother's exact words. "Maybe they're right." "Don't." Ayame turned to her, silver eyes fierce. "Don't let that article make you doubt us again. We just went through this with Reina. We're stronger than this." "Are we? Because it feels like the world is determined to prove we're not." "Then we prove them wrong." Ayame took her hands. "We go to dinner. We meet my parents. We show them that what we have is real and worth fighting for." "What if they hate me?" "They probably will." Ayame's honesty was brutal. "My parents are traditional, conservative. They've had my life planned since I was born. The right schools, the right career, the right marriage to someone from the right family. You are none of those things." "Then why would we go? Why subject ourselves to that?" "Because," Ayame said quietly, "they're my parents, and as much as I disagree with them, as much as they drive me crazy, I need them to see you, to understand why I'm choosing this." "And if they don't?" "Then we leave, together." Ayame's grip tightened. "But we try, Hana. We try." The week passed in a blur of stress and media attention. The article had gone viral. Other publications picked it up, business blogs analyzed it, social media exploded with opinions. Hana stopped reading the comments on day 2. They ranged from supportive to viciously cruel, and the cruel ones stuck in her head no matter how hard she tried to forget them. Ayame held the emergency board meeting. She emerged 2 hours later looking exhausted but grimly satisfied. "I made it clear," she told Hana that evening, "my personal life is not up for corporate vote. If any board member has concerns about my professional judgment, they can cite specific examples or resign." No one did either. What about the anonymous quotes? 3 board members admitted to speaking with the journalist. Off the record, they thought. "I made it very clear that if they have concerns about me, the door to my office is always open. Gossip to the press is not acceptable." Did that help? It helped establish boundaries. Ayame pulled Hana close. "But it doesn't change what's already out there. People have opinions. We can't control that." "Your parents have opinions." "Yes." Ayame's arms tightened around her. "Which is why Sunday is important." Saturday afternoon, Ayame took Hana shopping. "I don't know what to wear," Hana admitted, staring at her closet in despair. "Everything I own is too casual or too—" "We'll find something," Ayame said. "Something that's you, but also appropriate." They ended up at an upscale boutique that made Hana want to check the price tags and flee. Ayame steered her away from looking at prices. "This is important," Ayame said firmly. "Let me do this." They found a dress, deep emerald green, elegant but not overly formal. It made Hana look older, more sophisticated, while still being true to her soft aesthetic. "Perfect," Ayame said, and something in her voice made Hana look up. Ayame was staring at her with such open longing that Hana blushed. "We're in public," Hana whispered. "I don't care." Ayame stepped closer. "You're beautiful, and tomorrow my parents are going to see exactly why I'm in love with you." That night, Hana barely slept. She lay awake in Ayame's arms, staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios. What if they hated her on sight? What if she said something wrong? What if she used the wrong honorific or picked up the wrong chopsticks or— "Stop thinking," Ayame murmured against her hair. "How do you know I'm thinking?" "You're vibrating with anxiety." Ayame's arms tightened. "They're just people, Hana. Intimidating people, yes, but just people. They're your parents, and they want you to leave me. They want me to choose family legacy over personal happiness. That's not the same thing." Ayame pressed a kiss to her temple. "And I'm choosing you, no matter what happens tomorrow. Promise?" "Promise." Sunday evening arrived too quickly. Ayame picked Hana up at 5. She was in a conservative black suit, hair pulled back severely, minimal jewelry. Her armor, Hana realized, the Ice Queen in full force. They drove in silence to the outskirts of Tokyo, to a neighborhood of old money and older families. The houses were traditional, large, set back from the street behind walls and gardens. Ayame pulled up to a gate and entered a code. It swung open silently. The house beyond was stunning, a perfect blend of traditional Japanese architecture and modern luxury. Manicured gardens, stone pathways, soft lighting making everything look like a painting. "This is where you grew up?" Hana whispered. "Yes." Ayame's voice was tight, "and I couldn't wait to leave." They parked. Ayame came around to open Hana's door, a gesture of support more than chivalry. "Ready?" Ayame asked. Hana wasn't, but she nodded anyway. The front door opened before they reached it. A woman stood in the doorway, tall, nearly as tall as Ayame, elegant in a way that spoke of generations of breeding. Long black hair streaked with silver, pulled back in a traditional style. Her face was beautiful but cold, with sharp features and eyes that assessed Hana in a single cutting glance. Ayame's mother. "Ayame," she said, not a greeting, a statement. "Mother," Ayame bowed. "This is Hana Mori." Hana bowed deeply. "It's an honor to meet you, Sato-san." The woman's eyes swept over her, the emerald dress, her carefully styled hair, her nervous smile, finding her lacking in every way. "Yes," she said finally, "come in." Not welcome, just come in. The interior was as impeccable as the exterior. Minimal furniture, expensive art, everything in its perfect place. It felt more like a museum than a home. They were led to a formal dining room where a low table had been set for 4. Ayame's father sat at the head, a stern man in his 60s, with silver hair and the same sharp features as his daughter. He didn't stand when they entered. "Father," Ayame said, bowing, "this is—" "I know who she is. I read the article." Hana wanted to disappear into the floor. They sat. Hana followed Ayame's lead, trying to remember every piece of etiquette she'd frantically researched over the past week. Dinner was served by silent staff. The food was exquisite and tasted like ash in Hana's mouth. No one spoke. The silence stretched, growing heavier with each passing minute. Finally, Ayame's mother set down her chopsticks. "So," she said, her gaze fixed on Hana, "you're the reason my daughter's name is being dragged through the business press." Hana's throat closed. She forced herself to meet the woman's cold gaze. "I never meant for the article to happen," she said quietly. "Neither of us did." "And yet it happened." Ayame's mother's voice was ice. My phone has not stopped ringing. Friends, colleagues, board members of various organizations, all wanting to know about my daughter's controversial relationship. Do you know how humiliating that is? Mother, Ayame started. I'm speaking to her. The woman didn't even glance at Ayame. You had your turn to explain on the phone. Now I want to hear from the girl who thinks she's worthy of my daughter. The emphasis on girl was deliberate, cutting. Hana's hands trembled in her lap. I don't think I'm worthy of Ayame, but I love her, and she loves me, and we're trying to make this work despite the 10-year age gap. Ayame's father spoke for the first time. Despite the power imbalance, despite the fact that you're an intern dating your CEO. I'm not an intern anymore. I was transferred to a different department months ago. How convenient. His tone made it clear he thought it was anything but. Tell me, Mori-san, what are your intentions with my daughter? My intentions? Hana blinked. Do you plan to marry her, have children, or is this a youthful phase that will end when you realize how difficult it is to maintain a relationship under constant scrutiny? I don't, Hana stammered. We haven't talked about marriage. We've only been together for 5 months. Precisely. Ayame's mother leaned forward. You're 22 years old. You have your whole life ahead of you. Why would you tie yourself to someone a decade older, to a relationship that will always be complicated, that will always draw judgment? Because I love her, Hana said, voice strengthening. Because she makes me happy, because what we have is real even if it's complicated. Love. The word dripped with disdain. Love fades, Mori-san. What remains is reality. And the reality is that you are costing my daughter her reputation. That's enough. Ayame's voice cut through the room like a blade. Her mother turned to her, eyebrows raised. I wasn't finished. Yes, you were. Ayame set down her chopsticks with careful precision. You've made your point. You disapprove. You think Hana is beneath me. You're embarrassed by the article. I understand all of that, but you don't get to sit here and interrogate her like she's on trial. She is on trial, her father said coldly. As are you. Your choices affect this entire family. The Sato name means something. I know what it means. Ayame's silver eyes flashed. I've spent my entire life upholding it, building a successful company, making the right choices, meeting every expectation you've ever set. Until now, Ayame agreed, because for the first time I'm choosing something for myself instead of for the family legacy. And look how that's working out, her mother gestured dismissively. Scandal, gossip, questions about your judgment. My judgment is sound, my company is thriving, my relationship with Hana doesn't change any of that. It changes everything, her father said. Do you think the board trusts you the same way now that they know you're involved with someone so young, so inappropriate? Hana flinched at the word. We're leaving. Ayame, her mother commanded. No. Ayame held out her hand to Hana. We came here out of respect. We tried to have a civilized conversation, but I won't sit here and let you tear apart the woman I love. Ayame, her father's voice hardened. I love her, Ayame said, voice ringing through the formal dining room.
I love her more than I've ever loved anyone, more than I thought I was capable of loving. And yes, it's complicated. Yes, there's an age gap. Yes, people judge us, but none of that changes how I feel." "Then you're a fool," her mother said coldly. "Maybe I am." Ayame held out her hand to Hana. "But I'd rather be a fool in love than someone who lives their entire life making choices based on what others think." Hana took her hand. They stood together facing Ayame's parents. "If you walk out that door, you're choosing her over your family." "I'm choosing both. You're the ones making it an ultimatum." "Then choose wisely." Her mother's voice was arctic. "Because family is forever. Relationships like this," she looked at Hana with undisguised disdain, "they end." Ayame's grip on Hana's hand tightened. "Then I guess we'll prove you wrong." They turned and walked toward the door. "Ayame," her mother called. Not a command, something else. Almost pleading. Ayame paused, not turning back. "Don't do this," her mother said quietly. "Don't throw away everything for a girl you barely know." "I know her better than I've ever known anyone, better than I know myself sometimes. And if you can't accept that, if you can't even try to see what I see in her, then maybe it's not you who needs to reconsider your choices." They walked out into the cool evening air.
They made it to the car before Hana started shaking. Ayame pulled her into a tight embrace in the front seat, both of them trembling. "I'm sorry," Ayame whispered. "I'm so sorry. They were worse than I thought. They hate me. They don't know you. If they knew you, they'd see what I see." "What if they're right?" Hana pulled back. "What if this is too hard? What if I'm costing you too much?" "Stop." Ayame cupped her face. "We're not doing this again. Not after Reina. Not after we fought so hard to trust each other. But your family. My family is wrong, and they're going to stay wrong until they see how serious I am." Ayame's thumb brushed across her cheek. "I meant what I said in there. I love you. I choose you even over them. They'll never forgive you. Maybe not. Or maybe they will, eventually, when they see that we're still together a year from now, 2 years, 5 years." Ayame's eyes softened. "However long it takes for them to understand that you're not going anywhere." Hana's breath caught. 5 years? At least. Ayame smiled, sad but genuine. "Did you think I was planning short term?" I don't." Hana's voice broke. "I don't know how to do this, how to be enough when your whole world is against us. You're already enough. The world just hasn't caught up yet." They sat in the car outside the house for a long time, holding each other while dusk deepened into night. Eventually, Ayame started the engine. "Where are we going?" Hana asked. "Home. Your place or mine?" "Ours." Ayame reached for her hand. "Remember that apartment we looked at last weekend? The one you loved with the big windows? The one that's way too expensive? I put in an offer yesterday. We got it." Hana stared at her. "You what?" "I should have told you earlier. Wanted it to be a surprise." Ayame's smile was tentative. "We can move in next month, if you still want to." "After tonight? After your parents basically disowned you?" "Especially after tonight." Ayame brought Hana's hand to her lips. "They think we won't last. Let's prove them wrong. Let's build a life together, a real one." Tears streamed down Hana's face, but for the first time all evening, they weren't from fear or hurt. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, let's do that." 3 weeks after the disastrous family dinner, they moved into their new apartment. It was smaller than Ayame's penthouse, but bigger than Hana's studio. Large windows flooded the space with light, a real kitchen, room for both their things, a home they'd chosen together. Friends helped, Mai and some of Hana's coworkers, a few of Ayame's trusted employees. Even Rika showed up with pizza and beer. By evening, the boxes were mostly unpacked, the furniture arranged, pictures hung. Their books mingled on shared shelves, Hana's romance novels next to Ayame's business texts. After everyone left, they stood in the living room, surveying their new space. "We did it," Hana said softly. "We did." Ayame wrapped her arms around her from behind. "Despite the article, despite my parents, despite everyone saying we wouldn't last." "We're not lasting yet. It's been 6 months." 6 months is longer than most people gave us. Ayame pressed a kiss to her temple. "And we'll make it to 7 and 12 and 24. "You sound sure." "I am sure." Ayame turned her around. "Because I love you. Because we've already survived things that would have broken weaker couples. Because every obstacle just makes me more certain that you're who I want to fight through life with." Hana's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too. Even though your parents hate me, and half your board thinks I'm a disaster, and the business press thinks we're a liability, none of that matters. It should matter. But it doesn't." Ayame smiled, that rare, genuine smile that Hana loved. "The only thing that matters is this, us, right here." They kissed in the empty living room of their new apartment, surrounded by boxes and furniture, and the beginning of their shared life. Outside, Tokyo glittered with endless possibility. Inside, 2 women held each other, weathering the storm of public opinion and family disapproval, choosing each other anyway. Because love wasn't easy, but it was worth the fight, and they were done apologizing for it. The apartment was finally quiet, boxes unpacked, furniture arranged, friends gone home, the city glittering beyond their windows like a promise of endless possibility. Hana stood in the living room, barefoot on the hardwood floor that was now theirs, looking at the space they'd created together, her books on the shelves next to Ayame's, her soft throw blankets draped over Ayame's modern furniture, her warmth bleeding into Ayame's minimalism until it became something new, something that belonged to both of them. Ayame emerged from the bedroom, having changed out of her moving clothes into soft cotton pants and a fitted black tank top. Her hair was down, slightly mussed from the day's work. She looked younger like this, less ice queen, more just Ayame. "What are you thinking about?" Ayame asked softly, coming to stand behind her, arms wrapping around Hana's waist. Hana leaned back into the embrace, feeling Ayame's warmth seep into her spine. "That 3 weeks ago, your parents told us we wouldn't last, that the article said we were a liability, that everyone's been waiting for us to fail. And we're standing in our apartment." Hana turned in Ayame's arms, looking up into those silver eyes that had once seemed so cold, but now only held warmth when they looked at her. "We didn't just survive it, we built something anyway." Ayame's hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb brushing across her cheekbone with aching tenderness. "You know what I realized today?" "What?" "When we were moving in, watching our things come together, I kept waiting to feel trapped, suffocated. That's what happened every other time someone got too close." Ayame's voice was soft, vulnerable. "But with you, all I felt was home." Hana's eyes filled with tears. "Ayame." "Let me finish." Ayame's forehead pressed against hers. "My parents disowned me today. The business press thinks I'm compromised. Half the board questions my judgment. And I don't care, Hana. I don't care because standing here with you in our apartment feels more right than anything I've ever done. Even building your company? Even that. no hesitation, because the company made me successful, but you made me human again." Hana kissed her, soft and sweet and trembling with emotion. Ayame responded immediately, her arms tightening, pulling Hana closer until there was no space between them. The kiss deepened naturally, sweetness giving way to heat. Ayame's fingers slid into Hana's hair, angling her head for better access. Hana's hands gripped Ayame's hips, feeling the muscle beneath soft cotton. When they broke apart, both breathing harder, Ayame's eyes had darkened to storm gray. "Come to bed with me," Ayame whispered. "Let me show you what home feels like." Their bedroom was bathed in city light, gold and silver painting their skin as they helped each other undress. There was no rush this time, no desperation, just the slow, deliberate unveiling of two people who'd chosen each other despite the world's objections. Ayame's hands trembled slightly as she slid Hana's shirt over her head, and Hana caught them, bringing them to her lips. "You're shaking." Hana's voice was rough. "Every time with you feels like the first time, like I'm terrified I'll wake up and this won't be real." "I'm real." Hana guided Ayame's hands to her waist, to the warm skin there. "This is real." Ayame's control cracked. She pulled Hana against her, skin to skin, and the contact stole both their breaths. They moved together toward the bed, their bed now, in their home, stumbling slightly, laughing softly against each other's mouths. Ayame laid Hana down with reverent care, as if she were something precious, breakable, which was funny because Hana never felt stronger than she did right now. "I love you," Ayame said, hovering over her, silver eyes intense in the darkness. "I love you so much, it terrifies me." "Good. Be terrified with me." What followed was both familiar and new. They'd learned each other's bodies over the past months, knew what made the other gasp, where to touch, how to move. But this was different, deeper. This was making love in a home they'd chosen together, in a bed they'd bought together, in a life they were building despite every obstacle. Ayame took her time, her mouth mapping every inch of Hana's skin with devastating thoroughness. She kissed the hollow of her throat, the curve of her collarbone, the soft skin of her inner wrist where Hana's pulse hammered. Each touch was a promise, each kiss a claim that had nothing to do with possession and everything to do with devotion. "You're so beautiful," Ayame breathed against Hana's ribs. Hana's fingers tangled in long black hair, urging Ayame higher, kneading her mouth again. When they kissed, it was deep and consuming, all heat and hunger and love so intense it bordered on pain. Ayame's hand slid lower, and Hana arched into the touch, gasping. "Please." "I've got you," Ayame promised against her lips. She proved it with her hands, her mouth, her body, proved it with every caress that made Hana whimper, every kiss that made her writhe, every whispered word of love and praise that made her heart overflow. When Hana finally came apart, it was with Ayame's name on her lips and tears streaming down her face, not from sadness, but from the overwhelming rightness of this moment, this woman, this life they were building. Ayame held her through the aftershocks, pressing kisses to her temple, her cheek, her lips. "I love you. I love you. I love you." "My turn," Hana breathed when she could speak again. She rolled them over, and Ayame went willingly, looking up at her with such trust, such vulnerability, that Hana's chest ached. "You gave up so much for me," Hana whispered, her hands tracing patterns on Ayame's skin. "Ayame, let me finish." Hana's mouth followed the path her hands had traced. "Let me show you it was worth it." She took her time just as Ayame had, learning anew the planes and curves of her lover's body. The Ice Queen melted beneath her touch, gasping and trembling and whispering Hana's name like a prayer. When Ayame finally shattered, her back arching, her fingers gripping the sheets, it was the most beautiful thing Hana had ever seen.
raw and vulnerable, and completely, utterly hers. After, they lay tangled together, skin cooling, hearts gradually slowing. Ayame's fingers drew lazy patterns on Hana's hip. Hana's head rested on Ayame's chest, listening to her heartbeat. "That was," Ayame started. "Yeah," Hana agreed. Silence. Comfortable. Safe. "Hana? Hmm? Thank you." "For what?" "For staying. For fighting. For loving me even when it would have been easier not to." Hana's eyes shimmered. "For making me believe I deserved this." Hana shifted up, cupping Ayame's face with both hands. "You deserve everything. Every bit of happiness, every moment of joy, every ounce of love I have to give." "That's a lot of love." "You have no idea. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it to you." Ayame's breath caught. "The rest of your life?" Too soon to say that? No, not soon enough. They kissed again, sweet and slow and full of promises neither of them spoke out loud, but both understood completely. Outside, Tokyo glittered with its endless possibilities. Inside, two women held each other in the home they'd built together, weathering every storm, choosing each other anyway. Because love wasn't easy, but it was worth every fight, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt conquered by trust. Hana fell asleep first, her breathing evening out, her body relaxing completely against Ayame's. Ayame lay awake a little longer, one hand in Hana's hair, the other holding her close. She looked around their bedroom, at the boxes still half unpacked in the corner, at the photos they'd already hung on the walls, at the life they were building together brick by brick. Her parents would come around eventually, or they wouldn't. The business press would find new scandals to obsess over, the board would accept her choices, or she'd find new board members. None of it mattered as much as this, as the woman sleeping in her arms, as the home they'd built together, as the future they were building despite every obstacle. "I love you," Ayame whispered into the darkness, pressing a kiss to Hana's hair. In her sleep, Hana smiled and burrowed closer, and Ayame finally let herself believe it would all be okay. They were home.